Hey guys, it is Michelle and I am back with part 2 of my recent book haul. The next set of books I picked up on barnesandnoble.com. They are ones that there's no Kindle version of, or for some reason I wanted them in the physical version, and I just went crazy buying full price books a few weeks ago. So, first was Ajam. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. It's called an Iraqi Rhapsody by Sinan Antoon. In central Baghdad, there is what do they call it? An obscure manuscript that they have found that was written by a former prisoner. And something about the punctuation in the language the manuscript is written, like the person who wrote it didn't put punctuation on it. And with the way the Arabic punctuation works, like the number of dots that might be over a letter really helps determine the meaning of the word. And so there were lots of ways that this could be interpreted. You'll have to excuse Linus. He just knocked over my timer and he just smacked the camera. Sorry about that. I have 2 kittens and they're very playful right now. But anyway, so Iraq government is trying to figure out the meaning of this obscure manuscript, but the reason I really wanted to read this is it's supposed to give you a pretty good glimpse into what life was like in Iraq under Saddam Hussein's regime. All right, next up is The Peculiar Life of a Lonely Postman. This is just a quaint-sounding little story by Dennis Thorold. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It is about a postman he's just lonely, and he finds some escape through steaming open letters of correspondence between 2 people. They write back and forth to each other in haiku. One man, one woman. I think he finds out that the man has passed away, and so he starts to pose as the man writing his own haikus. So sounds like it could be a quaint, fun little story, and the book is tiny, so it shouldn't take long to get through. Next up is Shipwrecks by Akira Yoshimura, and this will probably be one of the next few books that I pick up. It is set in medieval Japan. There is a village, and they are pretty destitute. They distill salt from the ocean to sell to nearby villages, and the fires sometimes attract ships near the shore, and the ships get stranded, and that is not a good fate for those ships. They basically kill the passengers and loot all the stuff on board. So it says on the back that it is a gothic tale of the mysteries and horrors of fate. So I think there's some like karma in here. Sounds really interesting, and it is by a Japanese artist, and therefore I would like to read it as part of Japanese June. Although I'm not doing a whole month of Japanese, I would like to include this book in there. Next up, I was interested in this basically for school, but it is a book called The Crossover by Kwame Alexander. It is about 2 twin brothers who play basketball, and it is written in verse. And so I think some of my reluctant readers would really be interested in this, because some of it is very much sounds like rap, and so I think this would grab some attention of some of our students who don't necessarily consider themselves readers. Maybe this one would convince them that they are. Next up is Where I Belong by Gillian Cross. This is about a young lady from Somalia turned supermodel. I believe she's working from London when she finds out her brother has been kidnapped and held for ransom. So she's trying to figure out what to do about that. And this one just really has me intrigued. And look at that cover. Look at that cover. It's awesome. Anyway, there's an alternative cover, which is equally as beautiful as well. Next up are 2 graphic novels. The first is Volume 4 in Chew by John Layman and Rob Giori. This one's called Flambe. I still need to read Book 3, but I decided I would go ahead and pick up Book 3. This series is just hilarious and disgusting and highly interesting. And it's my favorite graphic novel series ever, and so, of course, I highly recommend it. And I've also heard that Alex and Ada comes highly recommended on several channels. It's about a man who receives an android. He wants no part of it, but he finds out that she can be so much more than just a robot. So, anyway, sounds intriguing. The artwork looks okay, but I think the story is the main seller on this one versus the artwork. And lastly, I ordered 4 books, very uncharacteristic of me, from bookdepository.com because I can't find where they are available anywhere else, and it was free shipping from bookdepository.com to the United States. I was like, what? what has been holding me back before that? So I will now probably be a supporter of bookdepository.com from time to time. First up, I grabbed All My Friends Are Superheroes by Andrew Kaufman. This just sounds like a quirky story about love. This man, all his friends are superheroes, but he is not. And he is even marrying a superhero. Well, on the day of their wedding, his wife, the perfectionist, her ex-boyfriend, hypnotizes her into believing that her new husband is invisible. So he spends 6 months trying to convince her that he is not, and it's not working. And so she is ready to give up and leave him since she can no longer see him. And anyway, it sounds quirky and fun. I mean, look at that cover. How could it not be quirky, right? Then I picked up Heroic by Phil Earle. It's about two brothers. They are very much opposite. One has always really depended on the other. And one gets sent to Afghanistan. And when he comes back, he's very different. So now it's the other brother's turn to decide whether or not he can save the brother that he has always relied on. And it just sounds touching and hopefully will be a good story. Then there is The Invisible Library with all this gold trim on it. And this just sounds quirky and fun. It's about a spy who works for a library who is supposed to collect books from alternative realities. And so there's all kinds of mystical creatures that she has to watch out for and that kind of thing. She has an assistant. He's got secrets too. And so it's just dangerous. And there's just something about the one book they have sent her to get this time that everybody is after it. And the author is Genevieve Cogman on this one. And lastly, this is probably the one I'm most excited for, is A Robot in the Garden by Deborah Install. I had a chance months ago to get a copy of this from NetGalley, and I chose not to request it. And then I regretted it because someone else got it and reviewed it and said it was really good. But it's about a man who's pretty antisocial. He doesn't want to work. He doesn't want kids. He is married. And one day he goes out, and in his garden he finds kind of a rusty object. And so he takes it to study and works on it. And his wife is like, that is just one more excuse you're going to use to hole yourself away in your study and never interact with people. And she ends up leaving him. And so he finds out he's only got one friend left, and it's the robot. And it is supposed to be just super cute and super endearing, and I'm hoping that's what it is. And we'll probably be picking this one up very soon as well. So those are the books that I got in part 2 of my book haul. If you are interested in buddy reading any of them, let me know. I would be more than happy to do so. Don't really have timelines for any of them other than I will probably quickly be picking up Shipwrecks and A Robot in the Garden. So thank you so much for watching, and happy reading.